Greetings goers of YouTube, just call me Dr. Storm. So recently I streamed with Blockbrains over on his channel and we watched plenty of interesting users from the Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail communities.
Yeah, that had a surprising lack of feet.
Yeah, and there we fucking go.
Okay,
yeah.
all right. We're so back.
And one of the users we covered was one I proposed who screamed and whined to his audience over his meta takes. That user being the subject of the very first video I ever uploaded to this channel, XgoSolo.
For reference, it took 15 minutes for me to already start farming ignorance. The reason I made this post was because this time, instead of just making like, a little bit of a splash about it, right? Instead of just, quietly talking about it, I'm going to make this as public as possible. So when I end up being right, every single one of these motherfuckers were real.
This feels like if like Light Yagami streamed, like he
before he got the death note.
Yeah. He's just like, you fools, you're inferior to me.
That.
After the stream, and after a particular video Solo uploaded not too long after, I did some thinking and decided that there's honestly enough material to make a second video on him, so I'm going to show you what he's been up to since my first video today. Because honestly, Solo is just such a fascinating specimen of userdom. The first video I made on Solo is 45 minutes in length, and it goes over his shameful rise on YouTube as well as what he considers his tragic downfall. If you just want to jump into this video without watching the previous one, I'll give you the Cliff Notes version of what was all covered here, and if you've already seen my first video and don't care to hear all this history again, skip to this timestamp. If you do actually go back and watch my first video, however, I should warn you that I'm noticeably not as comfortable speaking on YouTube as I am now. XgoSolo is the brother of Soul of an Artist, a Genshin Impact YouTuber who about 9 months ago had a feud with Gacha streamer Tectone. After the two had a debate on stream together, Tectone reached out to Solo to have a chat with him on stream, and Solo accepted. Even though it was obvious to anyone with 2 functioning brain cells that Tectone only invited Solo on to further drama with his brother and to have some kind of petty revenge against him. Tectone and Sol had some more back and forth, reacting to one another's content, and when things were just about settled, Solo butted back in with the video where he covered his ass against claims that he only met with Tectone and played Star Rail for YouTube views, lied about his brother not wanting to help his channel grow despite the fact that there was very clear evidence to the contrary in his brother's own Discord server at the time, and on Solo's own fucking YouTube channel, and glazed the absolute shit out of Tectone so he could keep leeching off of his viewer base.
That being said, the one time I genuinely got angry was when my brother tried to stop me from going on stream with Tectone, because in his mind, he never ever wanted to help me grow my channel, and when I was presented with an opportunity that could potentially do that, it was only in that moment that he wanted to help me.
Sol obviously wasn't cool with this and confronted his brother about the video while he was live streaming, and because Sol was louder than his brother, who couldn't defend any of his own disingenuous and shady bullshit, and because he slammed the door and caused a painting to fall off the wall shortly before Solo started crying at the end of the stream, Tectone leapt at this and called Sol an abuser.
And you made it out like I didn't want your fucking YouTube channel to succeed, but you left out
I didn't say that either.
bullshit because there's so many fucking comments saying it. And so many people DM me about it. You made it out like I don't want your channel to succeed. For 2 fucking years, I tried to help you.
By getting me to play a game I don't want to play.
No. I tried to set up collaborations with you on both my horror and main channel, and you...
What the f-
You wanted none of it. All you wanted was free exposure.
No, I didn't.
Bullshit.
I tried to do that spooky video. It did not work out because I was doing it for fucking ages.
But that's not my fault, and you didn't even bring that up in the video. You just made it out like I didn't want your fucking channel to succeed, which is not true.
I did not say that.
Bullshit. There's like 40 fucking comments saying that.
Sol screaming at his brother was a really stupid move, but I don't think we can really jump at any legitimate abuse going on with the information we have, especially when Solo at the time said he wasn't abused immediately after it happened. So at this predicament, Solo would obviously upload a video to his channel directly defending his brother and condemning Tectone for going on this crusade. Oh wait, no, right, he made 2 videos playing damage control for Tectone as he was spreading the allegations. And he also played messenger for Tectone without pushing back when he tried to use the copyright system to silence Sol's defense video against the allegations. Yeah, that's just incredibly fucked up for you to do, Solo, especially considering this entire thing helped lead to your brother quitting YouTube for some period of time.
Like, I'm not opposed to being his friend, because I like Tectone a lot. I have nothing but respect for the guy. Maybe we are friends. Maybe I just don't know how to fucking friendship is, because I've only been in 5 of them my entire life. But I'd say like Tectone right now, me and him are like really, really, really strong allies. But frankly, as somebody who's only known 5 people in my life I consider friends, because I'm very picky about who I hang out with, I wouldn't mind being Tectone's friend, if that makes sense. But yeah, no. Tectone has unironically done more for me in a week than my brother has done for me in his whole fucking life.
I don't know what the fuck Tectone thinks he did. I don't know if he has pride in what he did, but I'll tell you one thing. There will never be a moment where I will not have that motherfucker's back as long as he's in the right, because he has done so fucking much. I understand that he's not a saint. I understand that he's definitely lied about some things and probably didn't even fucking realize it and then doubled down. I'm aware that he's an internet troll and he's probably a shithead to certain people, but I don't think he's a bad person. I never will. I don't think he's an upstanding citizen, not by a fucking mile, but he's a good person. I have nothing but respect for the man, and after all the shit he did for me, you won't catch me dead taking somebody else's corner, regardless of who the fuck they are.
Fast forward about 2 to 3 months later, and Solo replied to Tectone announcing the next episode of his podcast with the following tweets. This would lead to Tectone inviting Solo onto the podcast last minute, which Solo accepted. The podcast didn't go too well for Solo, as he consistently talked and rarely gave anyone else a chance to speak, clearly irritating the other guests and leading to them making fun of him in their respective Twitch chats.
These children won't stand a chance. It was that kind of situation. But then the problem becomes you have a divide in the players, so then you have to...
Why isn't it an issue losing to people who spent more money if you can have fun in the game mode?
I agree. I 100% agree.
I'd say the issue isn't necessarily losing to people with more money. It's being fucking destroyed by people with more money. Because, like, it's one thing. It's like, oh, well, this guy spent thousands of dollars, but, you know, me with my peasant cash and my fucking food stamps, at least I was able to take out one of them.
So go ahead,
I see somebody raising their hand. But then, like, the other guy...
One second,
like, the other guy is just like, okay, well, I'm dead.
So hold
like, there's no fun dying.
So hold up. Yeah, Mtashed, what are you trying to say?
The other, I just thought of this too, is like they had that kind of Pokemon event.
This led to the Gacha Cast audience dogging on Solo and calling him a yapper, and he made a video as a response to this on his second channel in which he lamented over his performance and reception on the podcast. He also stated that he still respected Tectone for getting him to where he got him to, even if it turns out he was just being used by him.
Because every goddamn day I get reminded that I was used for views to farm drama, whatever. And you know what? Who gives a fuck if that actually is what happened? Because guess what? I actually got somewhere because of that. That motherfucker did more for me in a week than I was able to do for myself in 3 years of trying to learn this YouTube shit, alright? So yeah, who gives a fuck if he used me for it? Because guess what? I actually got something out of it. For once in my life, I didn't have to fucking worry if my next video would do well. I had the sensibility and security of understanding that didn't matter anymore. And even if that was the case, I still have so much fucking respect for that man because of that.
So now that we're caught up, it's time to start looking into Solo post Gacha Cast episode 6. 6 months have passed since the incident and since my first video, and while nothing big like the Soul vs Tectone drama or the Gacha Cast incident has happened, there are still some videos and moments of Solo to discuss and behavioral patterns of his to analyze during this time. We're also just gonna laugh at him acting like a fucking clown. A couple creators who were on that episode of the Gacha Cast made videos directly responding to Solo in regards to the episode. mtashed, who had been calling Solo annoying in his own Twitch chat, made a video giving Solo constructive criticism on the podcast while also uploading another video where he was laughing at a meme someone made at Solo's expense.
I'm just gonna let it roll and hope for the best.
Even in the event of 1.5, which was objectively dry, at least...
Stop! Stop! Hey, like, that's just his opinion, man! Come on, hey, come on! I didn't do that! I didn't even edit that! Sean! That's bullying! That's mean! That's not nice!
I wanna say I'm sorry for the things I've done.
mtashed had spelled Solo's name incorrectly on the title of the former video. Remember this because this is going to be important later. Gacha Smack also made a pretty balanced video giving Solo advice, though I think he was honestly a bit too generous towards him.
Because I think you're an intelligent human being. I just learned it from the most recent video you made that I believe you set to private, and that's your business. But I listened to that video And that was an entirely different Solo from the one that was in the podcast. I saw an intelligent human being in that video.
Did we watch the same video at all? Because I don't think trauma dumping and groveling at people's feet are things most people find intelligent sounding. Solo did comment on both of these videos, graciously accepting the criticism. Also, some random guy with a paper bag over his head made this weird detective-style video trying to figure out what happened to Solo.
But right after the video was posted, XgoSolo announced that he will be taking a break from YouTube and social media. He only made two other posts on his community tab on YouTube. One about another video with another creator, and one about his VTuber model being almost ready.
Oh, so the mystery was solved just from looking at posts from his public social media accounts? Why did you even make this video? Who the fuck even are you? So anyway, with this incident past, another content creator is not really saying anything nasty about him after what was honestly just an embarrassing podcast appearance, and his first one at that. Solo was ready to put all this behind him and improve from the criticism to become an even greater streamer and content creator. Is what I would say if we were living in an alternate timeline, but as you could probably tell from this video's title and thumbnail, Solo hasn't really grown much as a person since everything I detailed in my initial video. Solo eventually came back to make another defense video against Tectone regarding his experiences with him, and this time Solo actually appeared. Far too late to actually support his brother when he needed him most, but better late than never, I suppose. Solo once again denied that his brother abused him and explained why he didn't make a direct video on his channel that basically said Tectone is wrong and my brother does not abuse me. That reason being that he didn't want to lose any of the subs Tectone had just given him, which is an incredibly self-centered reason to not help your family against false allegations of them abusing you.
I have gone on record on multiple occasions saying that he does not abuse me, and yet, for some reason, the narrative persists. I have mentioned it multiple times in live streams, community posts, Twitter posts, and in one such occasion I even went live on my brother's channel specifically to talk about it. The only thing I didn't do was make a video explicitly stating that he does not abuse me. However, at one point, there did exist a video that was relatively similar to that. And if you're wondering why I didn't make a video that was more direct, there are 3 reasons. For starters, I didn't want to piss off my newfound audience by going against Tectone before anybody had a chance to actually get to know me.
Well, maybe the other reasons he gives are more sensible.
Secondly, I was pissed off at my brother because the fight had just happened and I didn't feel as if I actually needed to back him up, given the fact that in my mind he did it to himself.
Okay, that's also a terrible reason.
And thirdly, given our rocky relationship, it was very hard for me to justify defending somebody when we rarely ever get along.
And that is also not a good reason to let people say your family members abuse you when they don't.
That all being said, the reason why I'm here now is because I no longer give a fuck what these bigger CCs think of me. And so, even though it may offend them, I am here to defend my brother, who is arguably infinitely more important than these people will ever end up being. And while I have your attention, let me go ahead and say this now. I am not stupid. I both see and acknowledge the difference in how I get treated by some of these bigger CCs in the community. While Tectone may be present, he is inherently distant. And I'm not talking about the Gacha Cast. I did that to myself. The way that he reacts to my videos feels very passive-aggressive.
Anyone else get the feeling that Solo is only appearing in this video because he can't farm any more engagement or exposure from the other CCs and because now they're making fun of him? Because typically when you defend someone against serious allegations, you're supposed to talk about how said allegations are affecting said person rather than bitching about how other people are mocking and laughing at you over other shit. Am I to assume from what you're saying right now, Solo, that if the people in the podcast had liked you and taken you into their little clique, you wouldn't even have appeared in this video? Because that's the feeling you're giving me right now. I also want you to take note of Solo saying that he did it to himself in regards to the Gacha Cast, because it's going to come into play momentarily. After Sol released this video, Solo ended up privating every video on his channel that had to do with Tectone and swore off making drama content. Which ended up being a blatant fucking lie because talking about drama gets him views, so Solo's track record for honesty and sticking to his word continues to be dog shit. Not too much longer after that, Solo would upload a video finally addressing Gacha Cast 6. 3 months after the episode. When nobody gave a shit about the episode at that point. I guess we'll just jump into it then.
Ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, people of unspecified genders alike, it is I, XgoSolo, and today I am finally going to put on the mask one final time and talk about something that's been bothering me for a few months now. I am of course referring to the Gacha Cast and the masked yapper incident that happened all the way back then, and it seems as though a lot of my peers aren't willing to give me that second chance. So because of that, I'm now here. That whole Gacha Cast shit was horrible. Not a day has gone by in the last 2 months where I haven't thought about that. The entirety of the Honkai Star Rail community knows me as nothing more than the guy who talks too much. And if that's a sentiment that gets regularly reaffirmed by other creators, rather it be in slight whispers or be from the mouth of the horse itself.
Well, look at it this way, Solo, at least you're not known as the guy who abuses his autistic brother like what Tectone was making your brother known as. Or the guy who stabbed his brother in the back to prop his own YouTube channel up. Or the guy who let Tectone ruin his brother's online reputation so he could keep mooching off of his— Yeah, considering the things you did to get where you are, Solo, you're honestly very fortunate to only be known as the guy who talks a lot. And you complaining about that title despite what happened to your brother just makes you look incredibly tone-deaf and lacking in self-awareness.
And when you are constantly online, and when your favorite hobby revolves around you going around and talking to people and uploading videos and seeing community responses, you can't escape it. It might just be me, but ever since that day, my comments have been mostly negative. I don't even read them anymore. Something that I used to take a lot of joy and pride in doing, I have just outright avoided because people are such assholes for no reason.
Welcome to the internet, Solo. You're going to get shit from at least one other person, especially if you have a YouTube career.
And every single time I hit upload on a video, the very first thing that comes to my mind isn't, I wonder how this is gonna do, it's, how many viewers am I gonna fucking lose? Because people are gonna see that, recognize my name, and go, oh yeah, this is the guy who talks a lot on a podcast. And while both of those are pretty fucking bad, what sucks more than anything is when I try and reach out to another content creator, and the very first thing on my mind isn't, let's talk to this guy, I'm sure he's cool, it's, fucking Christ, I pray and I hope that he doesn't know me as the guy in the Gacha Cast. Yeah, it sucks.
You ever think that maybe there's other reasons besides a bad podcast appearance that don't make people want to collaborate with you, Solo? Reasons that I may or may not touch more on as this video continues?
And it sucks even more, because I know that that sentiment is only weighing them down more when it comes to my peers. People I should be working with, I have to live in fear of, because I know that they know what happened.
Why are you acting like you're entitled to collaborate with these people? If people want to collab with you, Solo, they'll come to you if they like your content or your personality enough. And if you're talking specifically about some of the bigger fish on the podcast, why would someone like mtashed with nearly 1 million subs collab with some guy who's only been making gacha content for like 3 to 6 months?
I made a video about this a while ago, a video that I ended up privating because everybody told me that I was overreacting, right?
Well, from the sound of it, everyone was giving you good advice and you just nuked the video like a pussy because it wasn't advice you wanted to hear.
I have very thick skin.
The prior statement you made completely disproves this.
Frankly, I don't give a fuck what people think about me because I spent my entire life trying to conform to what people wanted me to be.
The entire existence of this video completely disproves this.
Nowadays, I'm not abrasive because I have an ego, I'm abrasive because I don't give a fuck.
What does it even mean to be abrasive because you don't give a fuck? The only thing I can possibly think of is that you don't care what anyone else thinks, but again, the entire existence of this video completely disproves this.
For every person who doesn't like me, there's gonna be 5 more who do. That was a sentiment that I used to believe.
That seems like a very generous number despite your previous claims of you not being egotistical.
But as is the case for many people, the first thing that they hear is going to be what they believe. I think a good example of this is No Man's Sky. That was a video game that came out a while ago and it was hot dog shit. But over time, Hello Games ended up patching that game into the point where it was amazing. People love it. But to this day, it doesn't matter if it's playable now. The community and worldwide consensus is that that is not a good game.
Really now, Solo? Are you sure about that? Are you sure that this is the consensus? Are you absolutely, positively sure that No Man's Sky is considered to be a bad game by a majority of people at this point in time?
That is what the Gacha Cast did to me.
What's the stupid analogy even trying to say? That the Gacha Cast makes others think you're a bad content creator when you're actually a good one? Have you considered that maybe you're just not as good of a content creator as you think you are, Solo? No Man's Sky was actually a bad game at launch, but got better over time. Maybe you just need to get better over time too.
And I explained this a while ago. The reason that the Gacha Cast bothers me so much isn't all the people sending me death threats. I don't fucking care.
So then why the fuck are you even bringing them up?
What bothers me most about the Gacha Cast was it was my biggest fear realized.
I don't think I've ever seen someone flip between claiming to not care and caring as much as humanly possible so frequently and at such a rapid pace.
It's no secret that I am autistic, and my entire life I grew up being the weird kid. And as I got older, and as I grew more mature, I started to realize that me in the past was a fucking loser. But it didn't just happen once, or twice, or 3 times. It was 4 stages in my life that I distinctly remember looking back and going like, yep, you were a fucking autistic idiot. And because of that, I have a fear that one day I will be the idiot in the room, the socially oblivious guy, and I won't know it. And that is exactly what the Gacha Cast was. But it wasn't between 20 of my classmates. It was in front of 5,000 people and an audience of 8 of my peers.
So why the fuck did you even go on then? Oh, right, we already know you went on for the clout.
And the entire time while all of this was happening, instead of anybody thinking to tell me to shut the fuck up, me talking a lot was getting engagement up, and that was all that mattered. That's why they let it happen.
You mean like how you let Tectone continue saying that Soul abuses you because it kept your engagement from going down? I really don't care that you made that one half-ass appearance in that one video of his solo. You're never living this shit down if you're going to keep being this hypocritical and unaware.
And instead, they elected to go down into their comments and make fun of me. Not all of them, of course, and I won't say names, but I think a lot of you already know who I'm referring to. That sucks a lot too. The last time I made a video about this, Gacha Cast ended up seeing it, and he said it was privated. The reason why the video was privated was because the comments was nothing but people telling me to stop being a fucking baby. And when it's already hard enough for me to come out and actually talk about how I'm feeling, of course I'm gonna private it. I'm not privating this one though. It's not going anywhere. It's staying.
Yeah, he privated the video.
He said something. He said, I don't know what the difference was, but that solo that I saw on stream versus the solo I saw in that video were completely different people. What happened? That video perfectly summarizes the entire situation. He was the only person who made a video about that actually had some sort of reasonable take. And I commend him for it, because the only things that he got wrong was things that he had no way of knowing. His theory was that I was starstruck, which I most certainly was not. Unfortunately for you guys, at the time, I didn't really know much about other creators because I was too busy making videos myself. Thereby, I didn't know a lot of you people.
Weren't you acting like you looked up to these people in the privated video you're referencing?
This hurt me a lot. Like, and not even just the people in the comments, making a fucking fool of myself in front of people who I respected, and coming to find that some of these people were shit-talking me, like, as it was happening, and didn't say it in person. That one especially sucked. I'm so fucking ashamed of that person. I used to look up to that person, and I figured that out. That fucking sucked. I can't even think of anything else aside from that suck to describe it. Okay.
You want to know the truth?
We're probably not going to get it from you of all people, but go on, I guess.
I think I've alluded to this every now and then, but I haven't told the full story because I didn't want people to think it was about garnering sympathy. But it's 2 months later, so why the fuck does it matter, right?
Right, it's 2 months later. So why even make this video?
Because I wasn't medicated, and I've said that before, but that's only half the story.
Hey, Solo, remember when earlier you took responsibility for your performance on the Gacha Cast and when you accepted the criticism from those other creators? Yeah, it's kind of just starting to look like you only said all that just to save face at the time. Which I guess shouldn't really surprise me, considering what we saw you admit in your brother's video earlier.
You may be wondering, well, Solo, I mean, if you weren't medicated, then that's your fault, right? It's your fault that you weren't medicated. No, it's not.
Solo, are you actually backpedaling on owning up to your mistakes and improving upon yourself to pin all the blame for this entire incident on the American healthcare system? I'm not even defending the American healthcare system whatsoever and acknowledge plenty of people get fucked by it on a regular basis, but by using an institution as a scapegoat, you're just wiping your ass with everything Gotcha Smack told you.
Because unfortunately, we live in a world where things that you need to function on a daily basis aren't that easy to obtain. You think health insurance is hard to get? I assure you it could be much worse. The reason I wasn't medicated that day is because I couldn't afford to be. Roughly a year ago now, the state decided that I was no longer autistic. And because of that, my insurance got cut off. Now you may be wondering,
Solo, you were very obviously autistic. We just saw in front of 5,000 people. Yes, but according to the government, after I turned 18, it just magically went away.
So I suppose now is as good a time as any to discuss a certain method Solo uses to try and attract and hold on to his viewers. In Gacha, we have something called building pity, which is essentially when someone continues to pull to build up to a guarantee for a rare unit or item without necessarily pulling on a banner hosting said character or item they want. This is basically just a euphemism for people having a gambling problem and they end up pulling something they don't want half the time. Solo, however, likes to build pity outside of gacha games by trauma dumping and expressing sad emotions so that people feel sorry for him and stick around. And the performance he's putting on right now in this video is no exception. It would be one thing if Solo did this every now and then, or did this in a Discord with some of his closer viewers, but he does this in public and to his community constantly to a point where it honestly just comes off as manipulative.
So, Tectone's using me. Alright, cool. So here's a fun little concept you guys may have heard of. It's called social anxiety. Now, you may not know that because of the way I present myself, but I actually have generalized anxiety disorder and autism. That's right, you're currently listening to somebody who's medically defined as autistic and mentally handicapped, and because of that, I do have some pretty negative thoughts that surface from time to time. Thoughts that the comment section is definitely not helping with.
My insurance got cut off, but I didn't point that out. Once I'm out of this medication, when that's gone, I don't know what I'm gonna do. That shed outside that's fucking destroyed, we don't have the money to fix that, much less all of the items that were inside of it. The only reason I'm not releasing that Genshin Impact video is because the bottom level of my house flooded today, and I don't think more negativity is going to fix that. You guys pissed me off in that chat. Not only is it relevant to the people who say that this whole drama happened because the game is dying, but also literally my entire life, I have been bullied for my choice in game. Rather it be kids at school, my own friends, or my immediate family, it doesn't matter. I'm sick of it. It just let people enjoy things. For a vast majority of my life, my adolescence, and yes, even my adulthood, because it follows you everywhere, I have had some pretty notoriously atrocious luck. It's actually a pretty big joke among my community that I never get lucky. You know, I made multiple videos talking about it, and well, you know, you put two and two together, and eventually when another gacha game comes around the corner, the only thing you're seeing is all the 50-50s you failed. And for that reason, it's very hard to be excited. And because in the gacha community, if your opinion deviates from what people expect to be socially acceptable, rather that be a negative take or the idea that maybe something isn't as good as it's supposed to be, a lot of people will shit talk you for it, which often stifles out discussion. So in other words, in gacha communities, the longer you play a gacha game, the more appalling it becomes because the more you start to recognize the issues. And more you talk about the issues, the more you become an outcast in the gacha.
I get it! Solo's personality, as we've seen by now, and as we'll especially continue to see later in this video, is not one that attracts all that many people. So to make up for this, he presents himself to be the most sad, punished, and downtrodden person possible so that people feel obligated to shower him with sympathy and kind words. This unfortunately works quite often on many of Solo's fans.
And because my family is not financially well off, we cannot afford health insurance anymore. And because we can't afford health insurance, I can't afford my medication. My medication is about $1,000 a bottle for roughly 100 tablets.
Right, but apparently despite your poor financial situation, Solo, you can simultaneously afford to commission not just one, but two VTuber models in the span of less than a year, which each cost thousands of dollars, even though you only stream to an audience of about 20 to 40 people on average.
Because I'm such like a financially picky person. Like I won't spend money. I won't spend money on shit unless I know for a fact it's going to be worth the time. Problem is, I didn't know much about VTubers, so I got ripped the fuck off. You may be wondering though, what does this medication do? Does it really excuse you in this scenario? Well, you see, the specific side effects and the specific pill I'm taking is known as Concerta. I used to take Vyvanse, and if you're familiar with competitive gaming, you probably know of Adderall. Those are all medications to treat autism, but me personally, it's Concerta. The side effects of Concerta literally state, last clause, makes kids with autism more socially aware.
While I do have skepticism that Solo's medication would have actually made much of a difference, I don't have much expertise in pharmacy despite my title here on YouTube. So to give Solo the benefit of the doubt, let's assume the medication would have prevented him from embarrassing himself on the podcast. Solo still made the decision to voluntarily go on this podcast without this medication, as he will explain momentarily.
And because I can't afford that, on days where I don't think I'm doing anything important, I don't take it because I'm running out of them. The reason I didn't take my medication that day was because I didn't know I'd be going on that fucking podcast. And because of that, on that day, I was a last-minute addition on that cast. I didn't fucking invite myself, okay? I can't show you the tweet anymore because my Twitter account got suspended because I told my buddy I'd kill him with a plastic spork.
I'm sure you were joking about the spork shit, but it's still just really funny to hear about it after you angrily said you didn't invite yourself in the middle of this video you want people to take seriously.
But when I got invited, it was because I made a fucking joke on Twitter, and then Tectone sent me an invite wanting me on. I vividly remember, I was sitting in my room, just got done taking a massive shit.
Okay, dude, you don't have to remember so vividly. Unless you taking a shit is meant to be you farming more pity somehow, otherwise I would have just said it was diarrhea or something.
I got in my Discord call on my community server, and I saw on Twitter that Tectone's hosting a podcast, and I jokingly said, "You didn't invite me, skull emoji."
So yeah, something else Solo likes to do is retroactively say something is a joke in order to avoid criticism for it. Similar to what Donkey's fans pull, where his videos are simultaneously really insightful analyses while also just being stupid joke machines you can't apply any scrutiny to.
I still stand by the statement that Jing Liu is not good, and the fact that she's even in the same tier as Daniel on the Pridwin tier list is a blatant insult. The only reason why people don't agree with what I have to say is because I do not have a massive title over my head that says, yes, by the way, I know a lot about meta. I am not one of these content creators with a few 100,000 subscribers telling you why you should in fact both fuck and suck Jing Liu. However, I am the creator with a remarkable track record for predicting the future. I'm also the guy who spends roughly 8 hours a day in a voice call with people who do nothing but discuss meta, and on top of all of that, I assure you, understanding a character kit is far easier than applying advanced reading comprehension to an overarching narrative that spans over 30 fucking hours. So, now that I'm using my actual voice, let me go ahead and preface, I'm not angry. I really don't care that much. It's a video game. If I actually cared this much about meta, I would be a meta channel. Do I actually care about Jing Liu's status in the meta? Nah. But was it funny to make this video? Yeah, I think so.
And when I make topics about anything, I'm trying to either help people or inform people, right? That's always been the point. And to be universally told every single fucking time that you are wrong about something is the most frustrating shit, even when you know that you're right. This community harps on your ass, and they try and silence you because they don't like to believe that there's anything wrong with their product. Look at the dislike ratios on my videos, right? I made this video as a fucking joke because I knew that Jing Liu kept getting worse. 62% likes. And I was at this point I was already right.
Again, since
the original video, which is structured like an argument, is 73. It's
History of Power Rangers has
this video,
no set
which was
schedule.
mostly.
And then, while I'm in call, 15 minutes later, a community member by the name of Kenny says, Tectone wants you on the podcast. I open my DM, sure as shit, there he is with an invite. I didn't fucking invite myself. That was a last-minute inclusion. And because I didn't know, I didn't end up taking my medication.
Right, but you still consciously went on the podcast when you knew you hadn't taken your medication that day. And Tectone only invited you because you had consciously replied to his announcement of the Gacha Cast with that joke. It really just sounds like you brought this whole thing on yourself with terrible decision-making, Solo.
It was a chain of unfortunate events. And, you know, I can't even really blame him if I'm being honest. I was fucking in that episode. I can't even watch it. It was awful. And I don't know if that's just because people were being assholes or because it has a bad memory, but I can't even watch it. I can't even sit through 15 minutes of it. Kind of glad I wore a mask though, because if I didn't, God fucking knows what would have happened.
You think Solo practices his voice cracks and whimpering before he films a video like this or goes on stream so that he can hit just the right amount of patheticness for maximum pity profits?
And I never talk about it. That's the point of the video. I finally want to actually talk about it and give full context to what happened. Because it's apparent to me now that that second chance ain't coming anytime in my lifetime. And in an industry where you are who you know, maybe I'm better packing my bags and moving on to another community.
Or, you know, you could just move on from this and just keep making content normally while just letting people come to you naturally from now on. Saying you're giving up just makes you look like a sore loser when you talk about content creation being a passion of yours.
Because while I like Star Rail and I like making videos about it, it's very fucking difficult to keep doing that when you feel like you're isolated. all the time.
What about your audience or some of the smaller creators you're friends with like Noel's Gacha? How are you isolated with these people still being around? Are they just chopped liver to you because they can't just shit subs into your mouth like how Tectone can?
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what circumstances led up to that happening. I am the person who controls my own destiny. I have the choice to make when it comes to stuff like that.
Yes, you had a choice to go on a podcast when you weren't medicated, and you made it because you're too impulsive to get big on YouTube.
Right? It is by no means their fault that what happened happened. Now, I'm going to end this video by saying this. This video is by no means trying to pin blame on them. Frankly, I don't care. I don't necessarily harbor any ill will towards them for what happened, because it wasn't something that they knew I was going to do. I can, however, hold them accountable for not telling me to shut up. I can hold them accountable for calling me annoying instead of taking any sort of actual action. And I can be upset that my well-being in this community was not prioritized over viewer engagement.
I'm not going to blame them for me embarrassing myself on the Gacha Cast. However, I'm going to blame them for me embarrassing myself on the Gacha Cast. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, do you really think you were the most important guest there, Solo? You were a very last-minute addition and were the smallest channel there among people with hundreds of thousands of subscribers who didn't even know anything about you. It's going to be incredibly bizarre to them when some random guy comes on with the bird mask and talks for a majority of the time to the point where they don't know what the fuck to even do with you in the moment. And even then, Solo, you're a grown-ass man who consciously chose to come on a podcast that was essentially a roundtable discussion. It's not the other creator's responsibility to babysit you and put your own best interests above everybody else's. And again, all this bitching coming from the guy who prioritized his own YouTube channel's engagement over his own brother's well-being. Goddamn motherfucking hypocrite.
But whatever the case may be for that, that's water under the bridge. I literally do not have it in me to be petty and spiteful towards people.
You want to die on that hill, bitch?
But I told him, I was like, next time, let me on. I don't like Tectone, to be honest. I resent him very deeply. I don't hate him, but I resent him. He fucking ruined my reputation in the Gacha community on the last Gacha Cast. Hold on. Very first comment, yes, Solo the Yapper. He has notorious fame amongst CCs. That Gacha Cast fucking ruined my reputation. What's really funny is...
A lot of people say, oh, Solo, you can't just be mad at them. You can't be mad at them for not telling you. Let me put it like this. The only way that they tried to warn me, they never told me that the entire chat was making fun of me. Yeah, fuck that podcast. So I have a lot of resentment for Tectone because of that. And then he told me in DMs he thought it would be a good thing for my channel, and that it would be a net positive, and that he thought I was overreacting. But, given the fact that to this very day, people in my comments still remind me of it, and other creators don't associate with me because of that, no, it wasn't a good thing. It was a very bad thing. That's why I resent Tectone the way I do. But I told him a while ago, let me back on the podcast, so people actually know me for something else.
And it's been like 2 months. I was supposed to do a collab with Hex Juice at one point, but she canceled last minute after talking to Tectone on the phone. Wonder what happened there. Yeah, I carry a lot of resentment for other CCs.
I just kind of that's basically what the Gacha Cast did to me, pretty much. It was not a fun experience for me. It's fine. While everybody else was busy, fucking with me and neglecting me, pretending like I wasn't there, I've just constantly been in the background working on shit.
That's never been the person I am. I would much rather make a friend than have an enemy. And before I do end this, I do want to give a bit of a special thanks to Rogue Killer, VXV, Box2, and Engo. Because while it seems like every other creator is just outright avoiding me, they actually interact with me in some way, shape, or form.
Oh, so you've basically made it easier for people to narrow down which content creators on the podcast you harbor resentment for. Good job, Solo.
And while I'm not good at expressing it, it does make me genuinely happy that some of the creators out there don't fucking hate me. I don't know what I expect to come of this video, but more than anything, I just wanted to finally talk about it, because I'm not going to rely on another creator giving me that chance anymore. What's done is done, I guess.
Well, that was XgoSolo finally addressing the Gacha Cast number 6 incident after 3 months, and yeah, you can see why the video got taken down. He contradicted himself constantly, trauma dumped to his audience for sympathy points, and tried to absolve himself of any and all responsibility by blaming it on his insurance and the other creators. If they weren't going to invite you back on the podcast before, Solo, they sure as shit aren't going to now. YouTube videos aren't the only form of content Solo uploads to the internet. He also live streams Twitch and sometimes YouTube, where he plays various games, mostly Honkai Star Rail, and interacts with his viewers in chats. As you probably noticed earlier, and as I may have alluded to before, Solo displays a very huge ego in his videos.
I'm actually not going to be judging these guys on their personalities. I'm actually going to be judging them based on the quality of content that they create. Now, you may be wondering, oh wow, Solo, you've been doing YouTube for what, 6 months? What are your credentials? Oh well, that's quite easy. I am a major in communications and film, and in 2 semesters from now, I will be a certified editor. I am also the top of my class.
Who gives a shit?
No, this is kind of like my specialty. I'm going to be going through all of them. I am going to be telling you which people make good content, which people make bad content, and I'll be giving some friendly advice on how to improve them. While huffing nothing but straight coke, I went down the pipeline of the game's lore to try and figure out if she could still be alive. And in doing so, I ended up teaching myself about pretty much everything in Honkai Star Rail's universe, to the point where I can say with a fair degree of certainty that there is no one else on this planet who knows more about this game's world than I do. And you know, a lot of people think I'm stupid or over eccentric or a lot of things like that because I pretend to be. In reality, I actually have a very, very strong head on my shoulders. If you guys ever, and this is for anybody who joins my Discord in the future, past, I don't give a fuck. If you guys ever backseat game and tell me what to do like that again, I will ban you.
You could maybe argue that he's playing it up, or that it's just a slightly exaggerated persona for entertainment, but then you watch his streams and you realize that the narcissism he displays in his videos is 100% genuine.
Try not caring is like saying try to be happy to a depressed person. It doesn't work like that. It really sucks. I think the part that sucks the most is like I especially recently, I've been noticing just how much faster all these other creators who I used to be neck and neck with are growing than me. And you could make the argument, oh, solo, it's like from a lack of, you know, it's a lack of trying, but it's not. I'm willing to bet I try harder than almost every creator in the scene. And, you know, you can call that ego. You can call that whatever the fuck it is.
It is ego.
But the fact of the matter is, I don't have editors. I don't have editors at all. I go to college full-time, looking for part-time jobs. I basically keep this house running. I have to do everything myself. There's nobody helping me. And also, if you look at the quality of the videos I actually make, more often than not, and again, you call it egotistical, do what you want.
Okay, it's incredibly egotistical.
It's a lot better than most creators in the scene by a fucking mile. Because instead of making Twitch cut-downs like a lot of people do, or reaction videos, I actually try. So you could say, oh, so it's from a lack of trying, but it's not. It's not from a lack of trying. Like, it feels like at this point, unless there's just people I know, I'm fucked. And that's what's so frustrating about it. It's like, because again, you are who you know in the creative work industry. And if all the people I know fucking hate me, well, then all of a sudden I'm screwed. Like,
sounds to me like you only want to be friends with these creators to get something out of them, rather than because you actually like their personalities. I swear to God, do you care about anything other than YouTube views going up?
Like, you can ignore it, and you can pretend it's not there, but it doesn't change the fact that it's still happening.
Gee, Solo, have you ever considered that maybe these CCs don't want to work with someone who outwardly proclaims his content is better than theirs? Also, Solo, in regards to you whining about nobody being in your corner, how many more goddamn times are you going to make me bring up you not having your brothers?
It just kind of fucking sucks knowing there's really nobody in my corner. That's really what hurts the most. Let's say for example, Knowles. Like right now, me and Knowles are on pretty good terms, right? What happens if Knowles ends up getting an audience? And then when Knowles gets an audience, the bigger creators notice him. And now because the bigger creators notice him, he's put in a position where it's either... He's not at that point, he's put in a position where by continuing to associate with me, he puts his own shit at jeopardy because nobody else wants to associate with me. And then because of that, Knowles, somebody who I consider an ally of mine, no longer wants to be around me because of that. Because, like, what's the benefit to standing up for Solo, right? He has, an audience of, like, 10K? And then you compare that with fucking Tectone, Gacha Smack, pretty much any large creator in the scene. And at that point, it's like, well, why even bother? Because now I'm putting my own shit at risk for that.
What the fuck is this shitty sales pitch? How is this supposed to convince anyone to be in your corner if you're admitting you wouldn't even be in your own? Also, Solo, let's say you and Knowles swapped places in this hypothetical and Tectone told you Knowles was an annoying yapper who he didn't want anything to do with. You are now in the decision-making position where you have to choose between Knowles and Tectone. Solo, are you implying that you would throw yet another person under the bus to move up the YouTube totem pole? This entire scenario is saying a lot more about you than it is anybody else right now.
And again, I'd probably do the same thing. Again, like, that's not even me just bashing Knowles. I don't think he would. I have no reason to believe he would. But I'm saying I'd fucking do the same thing. Because, like, there's only one path forward in that scenario. There's no point standing up for the little guy. Who fucking cares?
Holy fucking shit, you really haven't learned a single goddamn thing, have you?
Hopefully next time, though, I won't fucking... Like I said, I can't purely be mad at them, but I will say I think it's pretty telling that in a room full of adults, none of them acted like one. That's the main thing. Because, like, you know, if you're a bigger CC and you fuck up, like, you know, it's fine, right? You know, it's whatever. But if you're, like, When you were my size and that shit happens, there was not a damn soul in my corner the entire time.
Oh, so now the little guy matters when it's you in this specific real-life scenario that actually happened to you. So I guess that thing that got you banned off Twitter wasn't a joke, and you were actually going to plunge that plastic spork into Nulls' back when the right time came.
You should do more informal guide content, more concise, with some dry humor. You do that well. Your Dodge video is really interesting. Yeah, I know. Well, that's the difference between me and other CCs, though. I actually try with my videos. I'm gonna keep taking pot shots. I just realized I am on the edge of the map. There's nothing here. Oh, shit. Yeah, I know. I've been doing... God, man. I've been doing, what, making videos for like 3 months? No, 3 years. If there's anything I'm good at, it's making videos. Like, I used to have a lot of respect for Brax as a video creator, but I'm pretty sure he has an editor. So, I kind of lost some respect for him in that regard. But I still like him as a person. I think probably my favorite things about creators are the ones who actually make an effort to make content that's good. That's probably one of the things about the gacha scene I don't like, is that it seems as though everybody is just doing stream cut downs and shit, which is so goddamn boring. Like, oh my god, it's boring. I have infinitely more respect for people who make their own shit than I do for somebody who has an editor. Literally, the only thing stopping me from releasing a fuck ton of shit videos is that my own mental blockade won't allow me. That's literally it.
Mentally untouchable.
You actually make really good content, Solo. Just underrated. I don't know about that. There's a difference between really good content and some good content. The thing is about being a creator is that, like, more often than not, you'll find that the ones who are the best at it are the ones who never like their own work. The moment you get complacent, not just in YouTube editing, but just art in general, literally the instant you get complacent with what you're doing is the second you stop improving, because you don't have a reason to anymore. So whenever I'm looking at my stuff, I try and be critical about it, because it's never perfect. Never will be.
Solo, why are you acting like this big shot social media influencer who knows all the ins and outs of how content creation works? You failed to surpass 1,000 subscribers on your own for 3 years and have just now hit only 14k subs. Not to mention about half of those subs and you even getting any kind of traction at all came not from your own merits as a video maker, but from you being the brother of someone whom Tectone was having his drama of the week with at the time. This is the equivalent of you getting up in the middle of a college lecture to tell the teacher to sit the fuck down so you can teach the class senior year material despite just enrolling as a freshman. You should be learning from all these other creators, not the other way around. Say, you remember how everyone simplified the Soul versus Tectone drama to just Soul getting angry over Genshin Impact meta? Well, here's Solo angrily screaming at his viewers and calling them retarded over Honkai Star Rail meta.
Ron May's very useful for break teams. Iverd, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up! Stop fucking talking! See? My god, man. You weren't even here for this whole live stream. You have no fucking idea. You have no fucking idea. Her ult! Her ult! You do realize when you break an enemy, they get kicked back down the order! The only thing that she has is the weakness break efficiency, which was explicitly made for a DOT. The argument is never, and was never, and will never be that she doesn't work for break, or she's not useful for break. The argument is that it's not her fucking purpose, and someone else is going to be able to do it better. That was always the argument. So shut the fuck up! What did I just tune into? I'm arguing with retards who think they're smarter than me. Like you see all these comments. I just want you to go through and read these. These guys are fucking retarded. Like, the argument is, and that's, you know, the whole reason we even got on this topic is because I'm fucking sick and tired of dealing with stupid people. Like, would you fucking look at that? Kill yourself, fucking loser! Wow! What do you know? It is more! Fuck off! Yeah, whatever.
Don't even fucking try, homie. That's how inconsequential the buff is! It's not a lot! Like, it's really not! 20% is fucking nothing, bro! Okay, would that even happen? Is that a high bar? Would that even happen? Are you fucking retarded? Are you fucking stupid? That's not a high... Bro, what I just listed off is the bare minimum!
Solo mauling at his audience for disagreeing with him this much is especially hilarious when you consider that 7 months ago, he made a video where he bitched about how people in his Discord server were backseat gaming as he was playing Genshin Impact. And he even admits to rage quitting the call when someone called him retarded for not being able to solve one puzzle.
The fact that somebody tried to tell me that I could burn the wooden shield when I had already been solving multiple puzzles that required me to burn stuff, that's just asinine at that point. That's not even helpful. You're just being an asshole. Oh, really? Word burns, does it? Oh, how interesting. How quaint. I've never heard of such a concept. At one point, I had 3 people at the same time. Like, what broke me? There was a puzzle in Fontaine. It was like a bunch of... It was like, oh, hit this orb and, like, shoot this thing, right? What broke me was there was 3 people just yelling at me at the same time, being like, this is how you solve it, it's so simple, how do you not know? I don't know because you guys won't shut up long enough for me to read the tutorial on how to solve it. And then what finally, like, got to me, to make me quit, like, somebody called me a retard because I couldn't figure it out. So I just left. Like, I just left the Discord, and I tried to point it out to him earlier, and I felt myself getting angry talking about it, so I just stopped. Like, you Genshin players need to fucking chill. Like, it's not that, like, your game's not that complex.
Damn, Solo, really showing us that rock hard skin there you told us you had earlier.
So for a vast majority of this video, right, this live stream, this video, you gotta understand something about being a content creator, right? Let me just go ahead and drop the anger farce. So, the thing you gotta understand about being a creator is it's not as simple as just, like, going out and talking like the way that you usually would. This is what my voice sounds like without any of the expression, you feel me? This is just me. Like, no expression, no nothing. This is just how I am. And when you're a creator, you're put in a situation where the you that you present on camera and the you that you present in your actual video is just a different person. You know, I don't go out in public and I don't argue with people about meta and Starro. I don't care. Like, I think about these comments, right? But in reality, do they bother me as much as I portray them as? No, it's theatrical anger. Because theatrical anger is far more entertaining than me, just some guy talking, like, in a calm way like this about the topic. That's not entertaining.
Yeah, guys, it was all theatrical anger for the sake of entertainment. That's why I took the stream down almost immediately after, so that no one could enjoy me being such a passionate thespian. I wasn't actually pissed at you guys for disagreeing with me and don't actually think I'm right about Ron May being the best in Boot Hill Big Penis Comp or whatever the fuck I was sparking out about.
And while everything that I say is still indicative of the thoughts that I have as a person, they're not at all reflective of how I would actually go about portraying those thoughts in a realistic setting. So while this entire stream has been me yelling, does this actually bother me? To the point where I will yell and scream about it?
Yes. Yes, it does, because you literally yelled and raged about this for most of the stream. Honestly, though, I'm not even really surprised you're trying to play Schrodinger's douchebag here. As you can see from these various clips of Solo streaming, he's kind of an egomaniac. He always has to be right, with anyone disagreeing with him being labeled as stupid, and he puts his own videos on a pedestal as these revolutionary, carefully crafted masterpieces, even though they're kind of just the same as a lot of other people's videos in the gacha community. Back around mid-June, Solo's YouTube views took a huge nosedive. His views are already fairly inconsistent, but the views on several of his videos at the time were especially bad. Seemingly, YouTube was pushing out notifications for his videos later than normal, which led to Solo thinking he'd been shadow banned. So Solo did what Solo does best. Bitch and moan to his audience about it.
I'm making this video to try and reach as many people as possible. If you are seeing this, then do me a favor and like and subscribe. Not because I want you to do that for the sake of pity, but why though? Now, here we are a few weeks later, and my videos are performing so badly that the content I created 7 months ago after the initial Tectone boom had entirely ceased were performing better than what I'm making now. Now, let me make this very clear. When I say that they're performing badly, I'm not talking about click-through rate, nor am I talking about watch retention. Those are doing the same. If anything, despite me putting in less work, they are barely worse than they were before. The watch retention has only dropped by 3 seconds on average, and the click-through rate is still going strong.
Did I mention that Solo likes to publicly post screenshots of his analytics a lot for bragging rights and validation? I genuinely don't think I have ever seen one other YouTuber doing this more than once.
Not only has the last 3 videos on my channel been performing really bad, but they have been consistently one-upping each other in how bad they are. And when I posted this on Twitter bitching about it because I'm angry and I'm watching the last 7 months or 3 years, depending on your perspective, of my work slip through my fingers, I noticed that 3 of my most loyal audience members were saying that they also weren't getting my stuff anymore.
The tweet where he molds about this in all caps is honestly pretty fucking funny.
I'm not going to sit there and have my entire channel and livelihood harassed by the algorithm only for me to sit down and keep doing the same thing, because an honest game can't expect honest participants. I'm not going to play this game. If YouTube's not going to push my shit, I'm just going to keep uploading garbage until they do. And just for reference, my take on garbage is a lot different from other content creators' takes on garbage.
Yeah, my garbage is everyone else's good content, because I'm just this much of a super cool video making god whose genius hasn't been recognized by the idiot masses yet.
So I'm about to go out there, I'm gonna upload whatever I want, I'm gonna talk about whatever I want until the day comes so I'm actually seeing more impressions than I was 7 fucking months ago. I'm not changing it. I just can't keep doing this. I refuse to keep doing this because this is stupid. This shouldn't even be happening. There is actually no reason why I should be losing 75% in counting of my active audience in less than a week. That is beyond explanation.
Oh, I don't have any jokes. I just think it's really fucking funny to hear this ultra-intelligent YouTube aficionado rage with such a well-actually tone, all because 3 videos did piss poor.
But like, I mean, just look at this from my perspective, dude. Imagine if the videos that I had uploaded for these last 3 were ones that I actually actively spent a lot of time on. I mean, hell, that Tao Chi and Ting Yun video I spent a lot of time on, and they still did bad. It's literally just a question of why even bother if they're all going to perform like shit anyway. And I actually read an article recently, like a research paper, right? And the paper said that when 2 people were asked to make as many perfect vases as—
Oh my god, he's even referencing an article to make himself look smarter than he actually is. That's so adorable. You're so fucking adorable when you're mad, you know that, Solo?
And I'm starting to think, especially with what's been happening this last week, and when you compare that to all the other gacha creators just dwarfing me in growth and support and just general pleasantries in their comments, when you compare that to the dickheads who are in mine, it's just like, man, at this point, maybe that article might have been on to something.
You think maybe calling your audience dickheads might be why they're not watching your videos?
I'm just gonna do whatever I want. My channel's basically dead anyway. There's no point in doing anything else. I'm just to try the shotgun method. I'll talk about whatever meta I want, whatever scenarios going on that I want, whatever drama I want. I'm just gonna do whatever. Just build a brand based on the personality, not about the topic, which, to be honest, I probably should have just been doing that this whole time.
Oh, wow! No shit!
I mean, I'm funny when I want to be.
Oh, trust me, Solo, you're also hysterical when you don't want to be.
But I guess that's enough for me. I'm sorry if I sound like really aggressive in this video, but you gotta understand, like, as an artist, there is nothing more frustrating than effectively what's going on right now. Like, it is amazing that I'm not screaming. The only thing stopping me from slamming my desk is my ungodly amount of self-restraint.
Ah, yes, your ungodly self-restraint that totally kept you from going on a podcast when you knew you weren't medicated. Yeah, no, you totally didn't let your extreme lust for attention get you into any embarrassing moments there. Well, that was a fun, more lighthearted XgoSolo escapade. The final solo video we'll be looking at today is actually a video he uploaded incredibly recently. And also one he took down pretty recently. Yeah, you probably noticed by now, but he deletes a lot of shit retroactively. In this video, Solo talks about some drama Tectone, mtashed, and a streamer named Hexjuice got into that didn't really involve him whatsoever. Really keeping up that no drama streak there, Solo. I haven't looked too much into the specifics of this drama myself, nor do I particularly care about it all that much if I'm going to be completely honest with you. But that all doesn't really matter, because if you somehow didn't think Solo was pathetic up until this point, you're certainly going to in a little bit. Something to note before jumping into this video is that despite the fact that Solo has expressed resentment towards both Tectone and Hexjuice in the past on stream, he interacts with both of them all hunky-dory on Twitter on a regular basis. He also uploaded this video right after making a community post where he tried to pity farm his audience some more and said he was too burnt out to deal with the gacha community hijinks. So, you know, just Solo's typical failure to stick to his own word.
Today, I'm not here to give you all a show to point and laugh at. I'm here to have a serious discussion about a drama that is currently going around the gacha scene. If you are at all familiar with my channel, you know that I try and abstain from talking about drama.
I find it hilarious how he tries to say this when 2 videos ago he was grilling another content creator for a bad opinion everyone else was dumping on her for.
However, when stuff like this happens, I like to drop the comedic farce and come out here with my actual voice, the one that I'm using now, and not the funny YouTuber one to tell you all what I think about a problem. For the uninitiated, Hexjuice is currently in the middle of a drama with Tectone and mtashed, and unlike the other dramas that has happened before, this is one where I have personally talked to and or directly interacted with every creator involved, and thereby I stand to give you all a more informed perspective about this situation and what you could potentially make of it.
You've interacted with them about this drama specifically, or you've just interacted with them, period? Because I could say I ordered McDonald's this one time when a murder suspect was working there, but that doesn't really make me qualified to talk about their character or whether or not they actually committed the murder, unless the murder happened at the restaurant around the time I was eating there.
So you probably shouldn't misconstrue that, because I'm not here to tell you how you feel, and at the end of the day, much like everybody else, I'm only making assumptions on what actually happened. Realistically, the only people who ever will know is the people directly involved, and frankly, it's not even anyone's business to go poking around in that anyway. But as is the case when you're a creator, sometimes things that you don't want to go public do go public, and then you have to deal with that.
So if you can only make assumptions and it's not your business to poke around, why the fuck are you even making this video, especially after you said you were too fucked, insignificant, neurotic, and emotional to deal with any of this bullshit?
Here's the deal. I'm going to be giving you all a heavily abridged version of events. If you care to know the exact details of everything that happened, go watch Hexjuice's video. It's 32 minutes long, it's a bit rambly at some parts, but still it is the full context nonetheless. Now as for what happened, Hexjuice and Tectone went on stream, they had a bit of a back and forth, got heated, became an argument. Behind the scenes they talked things out, they apologized, allegedly, and then things went on as usual. Then, allegedly, mtashed sees this situation and using 4 years of frustration he has had against Tectone, takes the opportunity to jump shark over Hex and argue on her behalf. Situation evolves from here, and the next thing you know, Hexjuice releases a video saying that she doesn't need to be defended. And in the wake of this, there are a lot of opinions going around. This is the gacha community after all, any drama that happens is bound to go around, people will talk about it, and as a creator it's a bit frustrating. Hexjuice arguably did nothing here, yet in spite of all of that, she got dragged into the situation, and
Interesting how you only use negative connotations when talking about mtashed. I guess it's obvious now which clique you're trying to get into.
Now we're put into a predicament where you see 3 arguments going around in her comment section as to why she's quote-unquote wrong or should reconsider or stuff of that similar nature. These arguments consist as followed. Tectone is a dick, mtashed was only trying to help, and you actually don't need to apologize to Tectone because he fucked with you first. And now I'm going to talk about all these points and tell you why some of these are a bit misguided. For starters, the argument that Hex and Tectone's relationship is a disingenuous one or a toxic one, that's not your decision to make. I don't care who you are, I don't care how much you have watched both these creators, it is not within your jurisdiction to decide how these people are interacting with each other is good or bad.
Oh, so other people cannot decide whether or not other people's relationships are toxic. Like a familial relationship, for instance. Or toxicity that may feature abuse of some kind.
The fact of the matter is, when you are a content creator, what you see publicly and what actually happens behind the scenes are 2 completely different realities. You only see what we want you to see, and sometimes in the case of live streams, that's not the case, but overall, we tend to have a pretty strong control over that, and therefore, when you say that our relationships are toxic, you only understand a very small part of the puzzle. Furthermore, using one interaction between people to decide that their relationship is toxic is disingenuous at worst, misguided at best.
Really now, Solo? So going off of one specific interaction to jump to conclusions is misguided or disingenuous? Huh.
Because again, that's not your decision to make. What happens behind the scenes and how these people say that they feel about each other is what matters more than anything else. And that by no means means that if they say they're fine, everything's fine. But instead of just immediately assuming there's some abusive relationship going on, just take a step back, observe the situation, and try and maintain a level of rationality about it. Chances are, most events aren't as deep as you originally perceived them to be. If Hexjuice says that she doesn't need to be protected and that she likes Tectone and enjoys his company, then that is final, and it is not your decision to make if these people do or don't get along. And again, to reiterate, all of this to say, if they say that they are fine, then they are fine.
Oh, so if someone says their relationship with someone else is fine, then it's most likely fine according to— Hey Stella, remember when you were a huge fucking piece of shit 8 to 9 months ago and didn't say any of this to Tectone when he was spreading false allegations that your own brother abuses you all so you could keep farming his subscribers? Really interesting that you're only bringing up this line of thinking now in a video where you're talking about more Tectone drama and clearly showing a bias against mtashed.
I doubt the other creators will say this because they thrive on parasocial connections. Me personally, I tell those to go fuck themselves. You don't know how I think, you don't know how I act.
No, I think we have a pretty good idea at this point of how you think and act, Solo.
Next up, we have the mtashed just meant well argument, right? This is the one that a lot of people are saying. They think mtashed is a good person. I don't know where they got this from, but I'm here to let you all know now that no, he's quite far from one.
Oh, just jump straight for mtashed's throat there, right after the entire diatribe of you don't know these content creators on a personal level. That's the kind of immediate XgoSolo contradiction I guess we should expect to see at this point.
I've had some personal issues with mtashed in the past. He's a bit of a two-faced asshole, and he's actually somebody who I have quietly carried resentment for ever since the Gacha Cast about 5 months ago now.
Yeah, two-faced asshole says the guy who went back and blamed the other creators for not stopping him from embarrassing himself on the Gacha Cast after he had initially accepted their words of criticism with grace. Or the guy who bitches about Tectone ruining his reputation on stream but still interacts with him on Twitter pretending he did nothing wrong to him or to his brother. Yeah, I guess it takes one to know one, doesn't it, Solo? Also, you call this quietly resenting mtashed?
And when he ends up praising smaller creators, he never mentions me. And it's not just Tectone, because mtashed himself, in the wake of the Gacha Cast drama, decided to wait 2 weeks to make a video talking about it, and when he finally did, he spelled my name wrong. People in the comments were spelling my name S-O-L, because that's what he spelt it in the title. When I called him out on it, he did not fix it. For the entirety of the thing, they never told me that. But what they did do, mtashed went into the comments of his live stream and called me annoying, but he didn't go into the Discord text chat that we had to say, hey Solo, maybe shut the fuck up, because people are, you know, dogging on you. They never said that. mtashed made a video apologizing or trying to give me advice about the situation where he spelled my fucking name wrong, and to this fucking day, if you look up my name on YouTube, watch this. If you look up my name on YouTube, it's spelled the same way that mtashed misspelled it. To this day. Gacha Smack's cool. I fucking hate mtashed, I'm gonna be honest.
Here's the thing.
mtashed.
I fucking hate Trump.
Misspelled my name, made an apology video to me, and then the same day uploaded a video laughing at me. He called me annoying in his chat instead of telling me anything, and he's also just, his content is fucking bad. So, I fucking hate mtashed, probably more than I hate Tectone. Cause mtashed basically encouraged it in his chat, so he can go fuck himself. mtashed is lazy as fuck, and I don't like him. But everybody else, they're fine, whatever. See? Before that moment, I had a lot of respect for him. I thought he was chill, and I was really disappointed to find out that in the middle of the Gacha Cast,
fuck me, he's gonna make someone else's shit all about himself again, isn't he?
He was talking shit behind my back inside of his live chat. A lot of people told me that it was unrealistic to expect a creator to tell me to shut up in the Discord chat. However, that argument was based on the grounds that mtashed put in more work to talk shit behind my back in the Twitch chat while still having a conversation with me.
You know, Solo, maybe you could play this two-face angle if mtashed had been enthusiastically engaging with you a lot on the podcast and showering you with praise, but he was just as confused as anyone else as to why you were even there and was clearly annoyed with you talking a lot. You're acting like mtashed was this great mentor who showed you the ways of YouTube, when in actuality, he's just some guy to you like how you're just some guy to him.
This isn't even the only scenario where mtashed has been two-faced with me. He also would eventually go on to make a video trying to give me advice in the wake of the Gacha Cast, which is a pretty nice gesture until you realize that he misspelled my name in the title of this video. And
You serious?
Despite me calling him out on Twitter and telling him to fix it, and him acknowledging this message in DMs, to this day, 5 months later, that video's title still is not fixed.
You think maybe he just forgot to correct the title? It's probably not that big of a priority to change it when people who click on the video already know who it's referring to. It's not like the O at the end being missing makes the XGO part no longer stand out.
And while he may be able to edit the title, what he can no longer edit is all the people in the comments who thought that was actually how you spelled my name, spelled spelling it wrong, and the fact that if you Google XgoSolo in the YouTube search bar, the misspelling that mtashed trademarked is one of the very first results. And
so I entered XgoSolo into the YouTube search bar in incognito mode and found that all the results that showed up did in fact include the correct spelling XgoSolo. So Solo is either lying to make mtashed look worse, or he's just schizophrenic. It's probably the first one given Solo's history. Also, Solo, do you have proof that you DM'd mtashed at all? I know your old Twitter got deleted because of the shit with the plastic spork, but again, given your history, I simply have to question your word on this.
this is all fine and good, sure, but what's really funny is that the same day of him releasing this video where he was giving me advice, he released another video where he was laughing in my face, only this time he actually spelled the name right. So
yeah, he was laughing at a meme of you on the podcast one of his editors made. He thought it was funny. He never owed you anything at all. Giving you constructive criticism for the future, not giving you a sincere apology for you making a fool of yourself, especially when it was 100% your own fucking fault anyway, and laughing at a meme at your expense are things you can all do simultaneously without being a massive two-faced asshole. And quite honestly, Solo, considering how big of a vindictive crybaby you continue to act over the Gacha Cast even 6 months after it happened, at this point, I frankly don't think any of these creators owe you an apology at all.
Given how the situation unfolded, here's how I see this. I was at my lowest point in my YouTube career ever. There was not a single fucking person in my corner. I had death threats every single day for weeks.
Yes, the death threats you said didn't bother you, but that you have to constantly bring up again and again so that your audience sucks your dick and crusades with you against the big bad mtashed.
This was an event that would go on to haunt me even to this very day. If you Google my second channel, the Gacha Cast is one of the first things to come up. You Google my name, it's a misspelling. You Google my actual name and hit enter, you'll see the drama very shortly therein. People still call me a yapper. People went to Hex Juice and told her not to be like the next Solo, and to this day, 5 months later, I have still yet to be given a run back on the Gacha Cast.
And the fact that you consistently continue to dig it up to this day, Solo, is exactly why this will be your legacy. A self-fulfilled fucking prophecy.
This whole situation, it was not a laughing matter. It was very hurtful to me personally. It changed my perspective on the gacha scene as a whole, and what am I met with other than mtashed pretending like he gave a shit only to then go on and laugh in my face? Because I imagine it was really fun laughing at the guy with autism. I imagine it must have been a fucking hoot and a holler to see that man dig himself into a hole while you proceeded to do nothing about it.
And there it fucking is, ladies and gentlemen, Solo using his autism to excuse his actions, play the victim, and demonize another CC over something petty all in one fell swoop. I say this as someone who's lived with autism for longer than you, Solo. Your problem isn't that you're autistic, it's that you are simply just a terrible, shallow, self-centered piece of shit who can only feel fulfillment in life from numbers on a website going up. You do not represent me or anyone else on the autism spectrum, XgoSolo. Xgo fuck yourself. I'm so sorry for getting heated there, folks. I just have very low tolerance for people using autism as a scapegoat and as a way to manipulate people.
But here's what I'm realizing in the wake of all of this. If you fucked over me and I have receipts, and you fucked over her and she has receipts, well, it really does seem like this is a pattern of behavior and not a one-off instant.
But you're not showing receipts of the DMs with mtashed, Solo. Why should anyone take you seriously at all here, especially when the thing you're crucifying him over is forgetting the letter O in a video title?
Now finally, back on track, there is the argument of Tectone. You know, Tectone's a shitty person, he yelled at Hex, yada yada yada. Here's my opinion on that. I do think that Hex is a bit lax with Tectone when it comes down to that. I do think that Tectone is a bit of an asshole in certain scenarios, and this actually isn't even the first time this situation has happened here recently. However, much like I said in the first point, if she says it's fine and they've talked about things, then it is our duty to respect that, take a step back, and understand that maybe they are fine.
Well, interesting how your tone just completely calmed down and you're back to trying to be level-headed when talking about Tectone despite viciously attacking someone else's character prior. Now where have I seen this before?
I see my brother walking around pushing the narrative that he won. He definitely didn't. I don't know where he gets this idea, but in his small little brain, I guess anything is a victory to him. And I see Tectone going around on multiple podcast streams, Twitters, whatever, and retelling events of the drama. And some of the details he gets are definitely wrong, but for the most part, it gives you a general idea of what happened. Now, as for my take on Tectone, I think it is twofold. I've been on the side of his envy, and I've been on the side of his wrath. And let me go ahead and tell you, it's not fun.
When has Tectone ever envied you, Solo? What even is there for anyone to envy about you?
Tectone has simultaneously catapulted my channel and then burned my credibility to the ground. I have no reason to defend him for anything.
Okay.
But I will say this. I by no means think that Tectone is a bad person. I think Tectone is an emotionally oblivious person. I think he has gone through a lot of shit in his life, and as a result, as he's now an adult, he thinks that everybody else going through shit can also just deal with it themselves, not understanding that different people process things differently.
But I thought you said that we don't know these content creators in their own personal lives, Solo. Now we're allowed to just give benefit of the doubt to Tectone by assuming there's stuff going on in his to justify his behavior? God, this whole fucking video is just so grossly biased. You really did just make this to stick it to mtashed and up your social credit score with Techie.
I also think Tectone doesn't understand the weight of his words, and as a result has created a multitude of problems for different people that he's not equipped to understand and address in an emotionally mature way. But in spite of all of that, I think his heart is in the right place.
Was his heart in the right place when he said your brother abuses you despite you saying it wasn't true, Solo?
If that's not the case, though, it is worth mentioning that this is the second argument he has gotten into with a allegedly close content creator friend of his in the last 2 to 3 weeks. The first time we saw it happen was with Gacha Smack, and the second time is now with Hexjuice. It's very likely that he has something going on in the background that he's not telling us about, and as a result of this, he's in a very poor mental state. He's probably making rash choices, and his usual emotional ineptitude is being amplified to a factor of 4. It is what it is. But again, I will reiterate, I don't think Tectone's a bad guy, he just, much like everybody else, has his moments.
Yeah, but I guess mtashed can't have his moments at all. He fucks up one word on his spelling test and it's funny German mustache man for life.
But who knows, I flip-flop on how I feel about him pretty regularly. Ask me again in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, I guess how you're feeling about Tectone is proportional to how many Twitter likes you can get from engaging with him at the time. So that was XgoSolo addressing the Hexjuice drama? Yeah, this video was fucking terrible and he clearly only made it for himself. He barely talked about the actual drama, he spent a third of the video attacking mtashed over nothing because he's a spiteful little bitch. And to nobody's surprise, he went easy on Tectone because he's the top dog of the gacha community and Solo will nuzzle that bald bastard's dick as much as he can to maintain even a shred of relevancy. Well, okay, he won't nuzzle it on Twitch, but that's because even he knows he doesn't get any fucking views there anyway. Well, that's all I have to report on Solo at the moment. So, what can we conclude? XgoSolo seems to not have learned anything or grown very much as a person at all since the situation with Soul vs. Tectone or since Gacha Cast episode 6. He is very much a person who throws stones from glass houses, abrasively insulting others while whimpering away with his tail between his legs when he is met with similar smack talk. He expects everyone else to always have his best interests in mind when he's not even willing to stick his neck out for others if there's any risk of his bottom line being negatively impacted. He views himself as a superior specimen of his environment, despite the fact that he's relatively an amateur in his own field, and doesn't really have too much credibility to back himself up as an uber-professional content creator on his own merit. His uncontrollable desire for influence has made him throw his own self-respect away and turned him into just as much of a fucking snake as the other people in the cliques he wants to be a part of. He is a chronic liar who will say or do anything in the moment to get what he wants or to avoid any outcome that is unfavorable for him. And of course, he's such an unlikable twat to the point where he needs to actively use pity as a crutch to get people to support him and regularly send him nice comments so he can childishly block out anything he doesn't want to hear. I don't doubt that Solo has endured struggles and hardships in life, but with how he acts online, complete with dishonesty, egotism, borderline manipulation through constant whining, and a complete lack of understanding of the concept of loyalty, it's just impossible for me to feel bad for him at all. And if Solo's gonna keep acting like a lol cow, well then I'm just gonna keep laughing. Like or dislike the video depending on what you thought of it, share your thoughts in the comments down below, subscribe if you'd like to see more of my content, and have a good day or night.